just another podcast. Purpose, passion, faith, freedom. Passion, faith, freedom.
Good morning, welcome back to the Space Between, where solutions always have room to go. I'm your humble host, Sean McClellan. Do you guys do me a favor, get on over to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, leave a rating for the show, subscribe, so you don't miss a future episode. I would greatly appreciate it. Well, we have officially surpassed Thanksgiving. One more holiday down this season for everybody. Thanksgiving is officially over, so now you can hang your Christmas lights and go about your business. Black Friday shopping, all that stuff. But today is Black Friday. Speaking of Black Friday, and we were at the park this morning. I was hanging out with my neighbor and his kids, and there was a guy on a bench. And I walked up and just kind of looked at him, and you guys know me, man. I'm talking to anybody and everybody wherever I go. Ask him how it was, how his Thanksgiving was, and he said blessed and highly favored. And he said, "What about you, young man?" I'm like, "Well, I woke up, man." He said, "Praise God." So I sat down. I started talking to this gentleman. His name's Wayne. And he was here hanging out with his granddaughter. And I started talking to him, and I was like, where's your kids at? He's like, "Well, I got two boys, and one of them's in prison, and one of them's on the run." I'm like, wow, man. So he's responsible for his kid's daughter, I'm sorry. He's a grandparent acting as a parent or guardian right now. And I just started talking to him. He was very willing to share his story about how addiction had him riddled for years, and we clicked it off right away. I shared my story with him, and he shared some stuff with me, and said he was homeless for a couple of years, and had a very good construction business, and was just got divorced, and after he got divorced, things just kind of went downhill when his kids got kind of taken away from him, and he said he got 10 DUIs in the course of about a year or two, and got in a car accident. And he was airlifted. I guess he died 3 times on the way to the hospital. I guess when he came to, he didn't have a license or anything. And they were asking him, like, "Do you know where you are, sir?" And he's like, "Well, I reckon I'm in hell." "I reckon I'm in hell," is what he said to the paramedics and the people that were saving him multiple times during the course of that helicopter ride. And and he's been a sober now since 2009, I believe, and we just talked for a while, man. And he said, "I always ask why I'm still here. Like, people always ask me. I go to AA, I speak, I help people, I help the newcomers come in and get acclimated and let them know that miracles can happen. And I always wonder why I'm still here." I said, "You know why you're still here, man?" I said, "So you and me can have this conversation today." He started laughing. He said, "You're absolutely right." And he gets it. He gets the value of sharing your story, of helping people who've been through something. God, dude, this guy has been through something, man. Very successful businessman, construction owner, multiple teams of people. Divorce, 10 DUIs, near death. And I said, "Wayne, like, what was the point where you came to where you just said, I got to change, man. I got to change my life. I got to change. Like, this isn't working anymore." And he told me, he's like, "I was homeless for a couple of years, Sean, and I was living in a tent, and I had my 2 sons. They were arguing about something to bring to, like, a Christmas party or a birthday party or whatever, and I wanted to give them something to bring. And I look around this tent that I was in, and all I had was a pack of saltine crackers, some peanut butter, and a couple of cans of beans." And he said, "I knew at that point that something had to change, man. I had to change. I had to take initiative, and I had to change my life because." And it's interesting to me that how it took something like a small and seemingly enough insignificant of 2 kids wanting to bring something to a party to make him realize that his life wasn't working out just the way he thought it would, or his addiction overran him, or his drinking, or whatever it was he was struggling with. It got to a point to where it was unmanageable. So, he got an inpatient treatment and he got help and he's been sober for a while and, gives it all to God. And let's just be honest, man, when you're going through an addiction or something like that, when we can't win in our own strength. No matter how much we try, no matter how hard we try, our own flesh strength cannot win that battle. It just can't, man. We're not strong enough. We are weak. We're flawed. We're weak. We're broken. And that's everybody. And no matter if you got an addiction or not, we're all flawed. Not just you, but we're all flawed, myself included. I'm willing to admit my faults, my hang-ups, my hurts, my habits. Like I share a lot with this guy. I didn't even know this guy from anywhere. Like I never met him before in my life. Something drew me to him. God drew me to him today. So we could have that conversation so he could impart wisdom on me. Because I'll tell you what, his story is a lot more different than mine, but it's still the same. It's still the same story, but two people who were caught up in things they didn't have no business being caught up in, who were struggling to find their way. He probably found his way quicker than I found my way, but he lost it all. Kind of like Job, he lost everything. Wife, kids, business, health, almost died, lost everything. But now, thanks to God, he's on the up and up. He was so grateful to be able to spend time with his granddaughter. Man, you should have seen the way his face lit up when this little girl came running to him. Man, it was, I can't put a price on it, man. He gets it. He's been through the fire. He has wisdom. Well, the only reason why he has wisdom is because he has been through hell and back, and he's here to talk about it. He's here to share his story. So I'm going to flip this on you. What have you been through to share your story? How many people out there could benefit from hearing your story, sharing your story, your unique story that's unique to you? Nobody else has it. It's your story. It's your life. What have you been through? How many people could it help? Are you willing to step out in faith and be vulnerable and share your story in hopes that maybe you can save one person on this planet before you leave? That's it, man. That's what it's all about. It's helping people, saving people from something you've been through that you can help them through because you've been there. Experience, I don't care how much schooling you got. I don't care how many degrees you got, a master's degree, a doctor. I don't care about any kind of schooling you have in this life. The best experience you have is from experience. The best knowledge you have is by experience of something you've been through in this life that requires no schooling at all whatsoever. So what have you been through that you can help somebody else get through today? Are you willing to step out in faith? I can show you how to set up a virtual stage for yourself and spread that message all around the world globally, just like I have and thousands of other students of Sam Crowley's coaching program who realize that there is a desperate need for people to share their story, to help people, to inspire and encourage them to do the same with your life. That's all it takes is you having the courage and making a decision. And when you're ready to make that decision, when you are sick and tired of being sick and tired of staying where you're at, being stuck, go to linkwithsean.com. Let's have a conversation. I would love to meet you and hear about your dream. I would love to hear your story, man, honestly. I am drawn to so many people these days that just want to share their story with me. Like God knows what I want to do. And he's putting people in my path that give me content. He's putting people in my path that I can witness to. He's putting people in my path that can help me. He hears me talking to him. And he's putting people in my path. He's directing my steps. He's guiding me. So I'm listening. I'm all ears. You should be too. All right? I really hope that message hit you guys today about a conversation I had with Wayne sitting on a park bench today, the day after Thanksgiving. And just... man, blows my mind every time I have these conversations, but it happens frequently, very often, and I appreciate when it happens because it lets me know that, that God hears me, and he's listening to me, and he's putting people in my path to give me their wisdom because the wisdom I'm imparting on you, the podcast sister. So I appreciate you for listening, taking time today to be here with me. Hey, listen. If you know somebody else who needs to hear this message, you please share it with them. I know I'm not the only one who needs to hear this message today. I know someone out there right now could benefit from hearing this. Please share it with them. That's how the show is going to grow. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do that for somebody you know that needs to hear this, all right? Would you do me a favor? Also, get it over to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, leave a rating for the show, subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. I will greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on The Space Between.
And just like that, another void has been filled in the space between. Hey, listen, you're obviously a podcast listener. You're listening to this podcast, which I appreciate you. Have you ever thought about launching your own? Are you somebody who feels like, I've got a message, but I'm not quite clear what it is or who would ever want to hear it? Let's do this. Let's have a conversation. I'll kind of take you behind the scenes of the Space Between podcast, show you how I do it, and worst case scenario, you'll have 3 really simple steps that you can use right now to understand what your message is and how to get it out there. Go to linkwithsean.com, S-E-A-N, linkwithsean.com, book a call, pick a time that works for you, and let's have a conversation about you and your message, all right? We'll see you on the call.